Okay, my name's Vinty. I am a project coordinator and I work for youth initiatives. It involves many things. I coordinate a young men's project and there's different elements to that. I wouldn't say it's hard, it's challenging because you're working with people, you know, people have issues, young people have issues, and it can be challenging that way in regards to helping young people overcome difficulties in their lives. I grew up in this area where I work, and I grew up through youth initiatives, and I've volunteered heavily during my time at youth initiatives, and I did HND in performing arts. While I was volunteering, I did a gap year then with youth initiatives, and from then I interviewed for a young men's worker post. That's how I became a staff worker within youth initiatives. I'd began to finish volunteering in youth initiatives, and I was at a real point of confusion, didn't know what direction to go in. And during that period, a youth worker called to my house about once every other week and just sat and talked about what was going on, you know, what are your plans, how are you, and helped me decide where to go with my life, what paths to take. And I think that was a real turning point for me, having someone who supported you. If it wasn't for this place, I would have been a completely different person. The sorts of issues going on back when I was growing up are quite similar to now. You know, there was a lot of drug taking, joyriding, or antisocial behaviour, if you want to put it in that context. And it would have been quite easy to fall into that. But the two things that helped me stay away from that are definitely youth initiatives and growing up in this environment, and my family as well. Were a strong influence in my life, sort of guiding me and helping me, and being strict with me when they needed to be, you know. Well, I don't know my father, but my mum is a mediator, so she works with different parts of the communities that are facing difficulties and sort of tries to mediate and help the parties solve their issues and their problems. There's definitely a role that a father plays. Just because of the person my father was, I think it would have been more at a disadvantage if he had been around. Really, personally, I'm not motivated by money. I think obviously you need money to be able to survive, to be able to live, to pay your bills and all that sort of stuff. But it's really, for me, it's about being able to help young people develop themselves, and I have a real passion for that. That's the downside of the job, is that you don't have contracts for life, or you don't have contracts for 10 years. They're short-term contracts. My contract at the moment is for 3 years. You know, we rely heavily on funding from other agencies and funding providers. So if the funding's not available to employ me in this area, then I'll have to move on to another place, you know.